This program is presented by Drake University on iTunes U, a service of the Drake Telemedia Center.
Ree Hamlin comes to us from Cardinal Health, as you saw from her slide, and some of the things have been part of the independent or community pharmacy ownership class, and we'll be able to do something like that again in the future, so it's something else to consider. Ree was very beneficial to her as an individual that presented at that session, but was very influential in getting that course we like to outdoor. We're very fortunate for her. She travels around other pharmacy schools and talks to them about opportunities for leadership in community pharmacy. And I think today a little bit of a focus on, as well, opportunities for women, because I know that a lot of times in ownership, especially during health, there aren't a lot of females there. So I think she'll be working that in a little bit.
Yes.
And so anyway, that's why it's nice to have somebody else be a partner along with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ree to give us some information about initiatives.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today, and it's great to see the men in here too, because definitely we want men to be buying independent pharmacies, but as Renee said, we have a great opportunity to help the female pharmacy students understand what your opportunities are to own your own businesses, be entrepreneurs, and still have your families. And Cardinal Health has dedicated a lot of resources to helping people find pharmacies, buy pharmacies, and we just want to review some of that stuff with you today. You're the future of independent pharmacy, and here's why. Exit strategy, I could just leave this up here, just talk about exit strategy, because right now there are 1,000 pharmacies, independent pharmacies, transitioning every year. That's a lot. And the average age of an independent pharmacist is 55 years old. Most of those pharmacy owners are men. And right now, with the ratio of pharmacy schools changing to 60% female graduates, you have a great opportunity to buy independent pharmacies. Plus, you're very important to the life of independent pharmacies. So I want to just ask some questions. And how many people were, I know that you were in the class, how many people were in the pharmacy ownership class? 2 guys. Okay. And we really enjoyed having them in the class, and there were some women in the class. So I'm kind of surprised that some of them aren't in here today. But, you know, if you don't mind, I know you're eating your pizza, but I'd just like to ask a question and kind of get some idea about, Jane, what kind of pharmacy are you looking at going into?
Right now I work at
Oh, you do? Okay.
yeah, but really I hope to kind of figure that out before university. And going back and forth between if I like retail or if I like more clinical setting, but I'm also doing an MBA as well.
Great. Great, and that's one of the things that Drake does that's, you're seeing it at other pharmacy schools, but 36 pharmacy schools across the country have dual degrees. There are a lot of pharmacy schools, so it's, it's something that's really important if you want to go into business. If you want to be on the clinical side, then it's maybe not so important, but you're still running a business when you're running a pharmacy in a hospital or in a long-term care facility. I know a pharmacist that went into manufacturing. During the summer, he did an internship in manufacturing, and guess what? He owns a generic company today. So, I mean, just to have that advantage to be able to do something a little bit different, that's just give yourselves an opportunity to think about different ways that you can practice pharmacy. And can I just ask in that front row up there, since you're just a couple of people, what you're going to do? Okay, great. Yay! She said the right word. Okay. Can you kind of just say why you're thinking about that? Would you mind if I put the microphone up there? Okay. Say that again.
I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and so I've been around it a lot, so I kind of know what it's like, and I'd like to do it myself to gear it towards my patients and make it better for them.
Great. And what do you see are the obstacles?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet? Okay.
No.
Well, that's good. How about you?
Well, I'd like to do a residency after pharmacy school. I haven't decided if I want to do a community or a hospital setting residency yet.
I'm not sure yet. I'll probably end up in a hospital. I really like kids, so maybe pediatrics.
Okay. I promise I won't come back there.
Fun. I think I'm just waiting for rotations to kind of see what I like right now. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
You don't know yet?
No, I don't
Okay.
really.
Well, is there anybody else in the back row that is thinking about retail pharmacy or independent pharmacy? You are?
I want to do a community residency to then implement MTM into the chain retail pharmacies.
That's good. Okay. Great. You see any obstacles to that?
Absolutely. There's plenty of business structure trying to convince people that you can make money on MTM. It's not just a money hit, and that it's beneficial to the patients, but it's also a business strategy.
Exactly. And right now, they just increased, you probably all know, but it used to be $40, so they just increased MTM to $100, which is a big difference because if you're making $55, it didn't make a whole lot of sense for you to do MTM for $40 when it took you away from your patients, that you were with a patient, but it took you away from filling prescriptions. And so this is a good opportunity, so that's great to hear. Okay, thank you. So why is this important? Why is independent pharmacy important? It's important for all the reasons that you said. It's important to the healthcare of communities. When you have a small town or even a big town, I don't know which pharmacy everybody uses here, but I know there's a Walgreens up the street, which I just had dinner with my niece at Mizzou yesterday. There's a Walgreens up the street, and she walks to it. So that's great, and that talks about the healthcare so that you know that there's a place where you can go to talk to a pharmacist to get help. And in small communities around the country, which this is where most independent pharmacies are, when they lose an independent pharmacy, the healthcare of that community suffers. Because where do they go? They have to find a doctor that may not be open, and they may not feel comfortable talking to somebody that doesn't know their family, and most independent pharmacies have known their families for 50, and even Dean Rospon was talking the last time we were here about a pharmacist in a pharmacy that she used to go to when she was young and how important that was to her family and how comfortable they felt being able to go ask questions at that pharmacy. So here it is. 60% of all independent pharmacies will change hands in the next 10 years. They're going to either sell to chains or other independent pharmacy owners, and that's what we want to help you do. The average age of independent pharmacists today is 55. 90% of them are men. So what happens to the healthcare in rural communities, that's the issue that we're trying to keep from happening. Who is buying pharmacies today? 30-somethings. Typically, it's someone who's been out of pharmacy school for 5 to 10 years and they've paid off their loans already. I know that's really important to all of you. And we want to help you find ways that you can own an independent pharmacy, have a family, and still pay off your loans, and do it quicker than, say, 10 years from the time that you graduate from pharmacy school. There are existing owners that are selling to people that work in their stores. That's one way that's happening. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people sell out to chains because they don't believe that they can find an owner to buy their store. And so they just, instead of trying to contact somebody like a pharmacy school to see if they're pharmacy students, or contact someone like Cardinal Health with our program that we can help you find a buyer or find somebody to sell the store to, they just sell out to the chains. Of course, there are investment groups, and again, 90% of the owners are males, and that's why we're here today, because we want to try to find ways to help you get over the hump of seeing that you can't have a family and you can't have a business where you're going to spend 60 to 70 hours in a business. That's a lot more than, say, if you went to work part-time at a Walgreens and you're making really good money and you're still able to be at home with your family. But you can have those rewards by maybe having a partner, somebody that is another female that might be doing the same thing that you're doing, and you can split up the hours so that you're helping each other out and you can have your children. There are people that actually have their children in the pharmacies. So you bring your kids in after school, they can come there instead of going to special programs at schools. They're there with you. I've actually been in pharmacies that they set up rooms in the back, playrooms where the kids could hang out and watch TV and do all the things they do at home, but you were there. The pharmacist, female pharmacist, is there to help take care of them. And again, we talked about how key health independent pharmacies are to communities. What makes a pharmacy valuable? I know some of you are doing NCPA and you're looking at different reasons why you would own a pharmacy or build a pharmacy. And of course, the fact that the pharmacy is doing really well is a great thing to think about. High volume, fully staffed, a great plant. We say physical plant. That's where the pharmacy is, the place that they've chosen to have the pharmacy. Those are things that you should look for. And I thought these were some pretty interesting statistics. Most new owners, pharmacy owners, take out a loan for 10 years, and they pay them off in 3.8 years. That really shows you the value of owning an independent pharmacy. Banks are offering 100% financing, plus they're giving cash so that you have extra cash to help you with your cash flow. And Cardinal will help you with financing. And just to be fair to other wholesalers will do the same thing. So we want to know how we can help you, how we can help convince you to go into independent pharmacy ownership, how we can help you find stores, what kind of things you need from us to help you do that. And I know that a lot of you are kind of in that transition stage where you're not sure what you're going to do yet, but this is something for you to think about as you're going through your training and going through school, what you want to do and how you can really impact a community, especially your own communities, by having your own pharmacies. So now I'll leave it open to some questions, if anybody has anything. If you don't ask me a question, I get to ask you more questions.
Why would you say, what's the reason for 90% ownership of males, even though, as you stated, there's a higher number of women in the field as a whole?
Because that shift just started to happen within the last 5 years, that there are more females graduating from pharmacy schools than males. And the pharmacists that own the stores today, they've owned them for, some of their families had them, but they've owned them for 20, 30, 40 years. And there weren't a lot of female pharmacists in those days when they were buying the stores. And so they're closing out today because they can't find people to buy the stores. And again, it goes back to the challenge of having a family and working 60 to 70 hours a day, or working for Walgreens or Hy-Vee where you can work 3 days a week and make really good money and still have a family. Well, do you go to an independent pharmacy today? Do you? No. Okay. Here's the difference. I'll just tell you. When you go into a Walgreens, and Walgreens is great. I started working for Walgreens a long time ago in the management program, so it's a great place for people to start to work. But they don't come out behind the pharmacy counter to talk to the patients unless you ask them to. And in an independent pharmacy, you could walk in the back door or in the front door, and whoever is the pharmacist is going to say, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, how are you doing? How's your son? How's your daughter today?" And they've known those people for 20, 30 years. And that helps people feel comfortable about where they're going to get their health care. That's a great question. How many people want that? As a pharmacist, I know that some people are just more prone to like to work in a hospital and have that atmosphere, but as a healthcare giver, it's so great for you to be able to have the opportunity to really impact people's healthcare. And let's just say it, make lots of money. You can make lots of money, and a lot more than you can make in the chains. So if you're motivated by money, if you're motivated by healthcare, then you can get both worlds together.
I know you mentioned that, I don't know if the opportunity you're offering, are they specific for women, or is it just for
Oh, no.
see it as being an opportunity for women?
we see that there's more men that are interested in having independent and owning their own pharmacies still today, despite the fact that a bigger percentage of women are graduating from pharmacy school. We want men to buy pharmacies, believe me, but we want to be, and it would be great if you guys could help them understand how a partnership with you might be a good thing to own your own independent pharmacy, and that you're going to be able to take it. What I see is that, and what we see out in the industry is that the healthcare in a pharmacy that is run by a woman and a man, where you've got that partnership, it's just so much better for the community. And your quality of life is good too, because you've got somebody that's helping you along the way. Are you going to buy an independent pharmacy? Yes, it is, but it's your own. You can make up the rules. Renee?
Touched a little bit on the systems out there and certainly partners what are the different models you would see pharmacists say move into purchasing, like a partnership or sign it outright? I'm sure there's other options. Can you kind of explain some of the broader categories?
Sure, and I'll start with junior partnerships, because I know the NCPA group is working on a similar situation. And a junior partnership would be where you found someone that's getting ready to retire, let's say in 5 years, and you're willing to take a smaller salary than you would if you went to work for a Walgreens or Hy-Vee or somebody, and you take that extra so let's say it's $20,000, $30,000 per year. You're putting it into a bank, basically, for the next 5 years. So in 5 years, you have $150,000 in equity. So when you go to the bank, you've got the equity, you've already got the management experience, and the bank sees that. That's a junior partnership. That'll help you buy a store that way. Right now, we're encouraging people to just buy a store. Just go out and buy a store. If you find an owner that's willing to sell a store to you and it's good, banks are giving 100% loans. You can get 100% financing from Cardinal. We're a little bit more expensive than banks, but if that's something that you want to do, we can do that. And you can go to your relatives. I know this one lady in Arkansas, she has 24 investors in her pharmacy. Everybody in her family invests in that pharmacy. So you can do that. And you can find investment groups that are professional investment groups, or you could also find a pharmacist who owns stores today. And here's a situation that I see. They own 3 or 4 stores. They want to own more. And they can't run all 3 or 4 stores. They can't be the pharmacist in those stores. And they're having a hard time finding somebody that has the same vision and really sees the opportunity. That would be a great opportunity for a place where that person could help you finance the store. You can become their partner. Does that answer your question? Or? A lot.
There's a number of options that you have. And I think one of the things, I know when I was a student in pharmacy, and I had always thought I would end up in ownership at some point, and obviously my career took a different path. But, so now I get to interact with students that are thinking about it. But I remember, and I think from talking to students, a lot of times there's a little bit of a fear that even for students that are getting a business minor in the MBA going degree program that we have, that there's so much that you have to keep track of, that the patient care, the healthcare, like you said, and then you also have the business side of things. And how does a owner keep track of all that and the changes that come up with all this business side? Are there other individuals that they use to assist them in that, or what do you see most, especially if they're fairly young pharmacists, how do they keep up on them?
Well, that's a great question. And we have pharmacists that want to do their own pharmacy. You want to do a startup, you want to do it from the ground up, build it, do everything yourself. That's great, but just think about what Dr. Chestnut just said. You have the responsibility to think of that business plan. You have the responsibility to do all the marketing, put everything together, hire all the people. And so on the flip side of that, if you buy an existing store that's already doing great, already has a good staff, already has that marketing in place, already making money, which those opportunities are endless out there. That's what, if you have endless energy and entrepreneurship and you're not afraid to take a chance, then do your own startup. If you're somebody that's, really wants to get something that's already making money, already has good cash flow, then look for a store that somebody's already running and owns today that you could buy. And just, if you're interested, just go into a pharmacy and say, hey, I'm going to be graduating in 2 years and I'd like to buy a pharmacy. Are you interested in selling? You'd be surprised the kind of reaction that you get. You can sell yourselves. Was that a hand raise? Or? Okay. And that's a great question, and it really goes to, the answer is that the people that are in the division that I am in would love to see independent pharmacy be successful and strive and be around for the next 50, 100 years. And that sounds kind of silly to your question, but people in our division, independent pharmacy, have a passion for independent pharmacy. We're not in the hospital division because we don't have the opportunity to do what an independent pharmacist does and say, go in the farm, have somebody come in the door and their name and their family. When it's an independent pharmacy and we sell or consult to independent pharmacies, we have those relationships with the independent pharmacies. And we care about what happens to those pharmacies. And that's really one of the main reasons why we want this to be something that you think about and something that helps independent pharmacy survive. Make sure you have good credit. That's number one, because if you want to go to a bank or you want to come to Cardinal or ABC or whoever it is to buy a store, you want to make sure you have good credit, and you can do that today. Don't worry about your student loans. When you look at an existing store and you see what their net profit is on the bottom line, it's a lot more than what you can make at Walgreens, as long as you run your store right, as long as you keep it going, as long as you have an MBA or you at least have business experience to help you do that. You can make the money to pay off your loans and take care of your family. And yes. NCPA is, they have a new director now. I think everybody knows that. Kathleen Yeager was there for a short time. Now it's Doug Hobie. And he is working with Cardinal on a program that we're going to team up female owners with current female owners. So people that have already owned their stores and are willing to assist anyone who wants to open a store or start a business. And so that's something new that we're doing with NCPA, which, as Dr. Chestnut said, NCPA is just a great opportunity, not just for students, but also for stores and for independent pharmacy. They represent you legally. They're in the politics and everything that affects independent pharmacies. It's a great advocate for independent pharmacy. This is my contact information, so if you're interested in more information about how to buy a store or maybe putting together a business plan, get some ideas about what you can do to talk to owners that are already in business today, or we have lists of pharmacies that are for sale, and we'll be happy to match you up with those owners if that's something that you're interested in. Before I close, any more questions? Jane? Ben? Okay. Thank you.